In less than 48 hours, the private gets nearly 10 EIDL loans approved, and I get one approved in less than 6 hours. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check update. Thank you for joining us for this evening. And Evenings LALATE, our new series which debuts tonight. It's our evening block of programming which starts with second stimulus check, especially SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and railroad benefits, and then parlays into EIDL loans. First, if you're new to this channel, EIDL loans are still open. So if you own a business or you are an independent contractor, or you're self-employed and you need money, it's actually still open. I had a lot of viewers ask me about that overnight. It is open. There's no more grant money, but if you need a loan, you can apply for it. To apply for an EIDL loan, it's relatively easy. You go to sba.gov, you click on one or two links, and it sends you to an application. The important thing to understand when you're applying for an EIDL loan is the following. The loans are about 3.75%. They're over 30 years. It's a fixed interest rate. There's no interest due the first year. It's collateralized if you go to over $25,000 and $1. It's a relatively simple process and not that painful. Your credit score has to be over about 570, but I recommend it to be over 590. Only with one credit agency. They only use one credit agency. That's Experian Vantage 3.0. The turnaround time, as I'm going to explain to you in a second, is literally 6 hours in some cases. It's very quick to get processed. And it's based upon your earnings. This is one of the things that came up a lot in the last 24 hours. When determining what your EIDL loan can be, you need to do this very, very simple task. You need to pull out the operative tax return at issue. So if you are applying as an Uber or Lyft driver, or in the cases of one viewer from last night, he's an Airbnb owner, or renter, he was a Schedule C. It's an independent contractor. So Uber, Lyft, Postmates, that's all Schedule C independent contractor. You would be applying for under your personal name, your personal account, business account, personal checking or savings account, your home address, your personal Social Security number. They're going to pull your personal credit. And what you want to do is it's going to ask you what your 2019 earnings are. That is generally your Schedule C line 1C. There's a 1A, 1B, and 1C. There's generally 3 ones, but it's the summation of 1, which says total revenue 2019, Schedule C, line 1. That's going to ask you your cost of goods sold, which is always Schedule C, line 2. You put those numbers in, and you can do the calculation right now with me, and I can tell you exactly how much your loan will be approved for. Revenue minus cost of goods sold divided by 2. Very, very simple. So if you had $20,000 of revenue last year, cost of goods sold is $10,000. That's 20 minus 10 is 10 divided by 2, $5,000. You'll have a $5,000 loan. Very, very simple. And that's exactly what happened last night. I had a viewer who I guess is a relatively new viewer to this channel who had not watched my earlier videos. I had explained that if you own a business, which he did, a business which was an incorporation or an LLC, had an EIN, that's how you apply for a loan. It would be the business name. You would not click independent contract. You would click 500 employees or less, business with 500 employees or less. You put the EIN in. You put the business name in. It will pull both your credit and the business credit score. And ultimately, his business got approved for a loan. But he also told me he was an Airbnb owner, renter, whatever the term is. And he said he had, and that appears on his Schedule C as a separate business. I said, well, you know what? You can apply for an EIDL loan as well. And he did last night based upon the information of the videos on this channel. And guess what? That was about 10 o'clock last night. At 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time today, he had a loan fully approved for exactly the calculation I just gave you. Revenue minus cost of goods sold divided by 2. It was literally that simple. So what's going on? One of the things I want you to understand right now as we sit here on a Wednesday afternoon is that SBA really does want to write loans. The current mindset of SBA is to write loans. They want to do it. So if you have a very simple process, you know your numbers and you know your data, it's a simple process. What's most important, and I'm seeing this now literally 5 to 20 times a day, is put the correct numbers in one time and one time only. When I mean correct numbers, I mean the account number, the account routing number, the social security number. Don't miss a 0 or switch a 9 to a 6 or a 2 to a 3. Make sure the number is exactly correct, because so many people are getting stuck, and they're stuck not because of SBA, it's because of their error. They typed too quickly, or they didn't check their work. They made a typographical error, and there are just hundreds of people who watch this channel every week who make typographical errors, and that prevents them from getting a loan. I specifically told the viewer last night, I want you to double and check whatever you put in there. I want you to make sure you did not type something incorrectly. Clearly, he typed very clearly and correctly because he got approved literally overnight. So what's going on with this channel? Well, the private has really been out of control. Incredible numbers. In the last 48 hours, I think we're up to 10 loans approved. Today alone, I think we're at 5 loans approved. I've done 2. I think Justin has done 2. Mentor number 1 has done 2. And I think mentor number 2 has done 3. So we're up to about 5 loans that have been approved because of the help of this channel, literally just, in about 9 hours. But in the last 48 hours, we're close to 10 loans approved because of the help of this channel. So ultimately, please support this channel, or please support, if the channel helped you, or please support the mentor. The mentor helped you. A lot of these mentors are spending a lot of dedication to get you approved, and they're doing incredible work. So please support them. Next, I want to go over some other things that you need to understand for processing and getting things done. First, processing time. I'm having a lot of people ask questions about processing time. As you saw, the viewer I told you minutes ago, he was approved in 6 hours. I mean, that was because he did every single thing perfectly, and it's really not hard to do it perfectly. He got the number right, he got the EIN, he got the social security, he did everything very, 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 very clear. For people who do things incorrectly or mess it up, or unfortunately do nothing wrong and just get stuck because of SBA, what's the processing time when they use the private? Well, there is in some cases people who would have gotten things done 24 hours a week ago. But the private now, I think, is in week 3 of its existence. There's 700 people in the private instead of 200 or 50, when we started. I mean, 700 people is a lot of people in a private. And those 700 people are using the same resources and using the same abilities to get themselves approved. So that has created a backlog. And that backlog I'm now seeing with one viewer is about 4 days. She went through the same process. Let me give you an example of what's happened with her. She's actually a repeat. She is someone that I helped a week ago and got her loan approved within 1 day. So then she reached back out for a nephew of hers, and it was basically the same situation. So you would have thought it would be a single day. Well, we repeated the same process, and hers, she did it 1 day and nothing happened. We did it another day and nothing happened. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And I reached out to other people who had gone through the process, and they had no insight as to why they went faster. So we just waited, and and I told her, okay, maybe reach out and let's try it again. Let's do something different. Well, she didn't do anything. She did not follow my advice. She just sat back and be patient, which is always, patience works, and that's the moral of the story. She didn't do anything, and she waited 2 more days and did nothing. Bam, she got her loan approved. So the backlog for her was about 4 days. What normally would have been a 1-day turnaround was a 4-day turnaround. So understand there is backlog. There's so many of you that qualify for a loan, that are getting loans, that just need to have someone, do a little push and push here and there in SBA to get that loan out, it's creating a little bit of a backlog. So have some patience. Next, wrong banking info. Oh my God. Please make sure your banking information is correct. And unfortunately, a lot of you who are new to this channel don't know what banking information you put in. I always ask people, when you submit these SBA applications, you take screen grabs. Screen grabs so you look and see what you did, so that if we go back a week later and you're like, why haven't I gotten approved? Did you type something in wrong? Please check that the banking information is correct. And it sounds so elementary, it sounds so Captain Obvious, but really it is the make or break with at least 50% of the people in the private. They didn't type something in right. Loan increases. I'm getting a lot of questions about loan increases. So loan increases, I want you to understand the following, and I'm going to share this with both mentors, because both mentors are actually, for their own situations, are dealing with loan increases. So they're helping you with loan increases, and they're also trying to help themselves with loan increases. So this video is going to be helpful for everyone involved. If you want to do a loan increase, meaning that you had a loan, you got funded, let's say it's $30,000, you have the $30,000, but you want to do a loan increase, what do you need to think about? First, you need to do exactly what I told you before. You need to pull out that tax return. Pull out the tax return and look at what line item 1C said as revenue, gross rev. Gross revenue. It's either line 1C or 1. It's either on Schedule C if it's personal business, or it's on your 1120S if it's an S corp or an LLC treated as an S corp. You need to pull out that tax return and look at that line. That's the number that you put on the Streamline application. Hopefully, if you didn't, I don't know what number you did, but hopefully you did. Then you're going to look at that same schedule. You're going to look at line 2, cost of goods sold. So you're going to take line 1C minus line 2 equals a number divided by 2. That is the amount that your loan should be. The vast majority of the time, almost 100% of the time, SBA loans you an amount based upon that calculation. Now, 2 days ago, I had one viewer who I did the calculation for him. I got to tell you, what the end of the result, the calculation was 0. He had 0 minus 0 equals 0, or it was something like, anyway, he was literally at almost 0, and he got an SBA loan offer of $3,000. Needless to say, he took the $3,000 because he didn't qualify for anything based upon the way his accounting was done. I don't understand what's going on there, and I'm not going to explain. I don't follow it. But when you do this calculation, if you do the calculation and it comes to, let's say, $100,000, but you got a loan and it's fully funded at $30,000, well, hey, I mean, that's a clear argument for SBA. Says I'm qualified for a loan increase. I got $30,000, but under the loan calculation, I qualify for $70,000 more. Pretty easy. The vast majority of the time, it's not that case. The vast majority of the time is you do the calculation, it comes out to $30,000, and you got $30,000. So then what? Well, I had one viewer I was dealing with overnight who's in California, and he had a similar situation to that. And let me explain to you where I told him to focus on. And this applies to both my mentors and anyone else who's trying to do a loan increase. If you do the calculation and it doesn't warrant a loan increase, it doesn't tee up a loan increase, then you're going to have to basically do a pitch. And you have to figure out ultimately what is the best pitch. This is one possible pitch. That in 2020, looking at January 2020 to the present, your financials are far more robust and better than they were in 2019, or at least before the pandemic. So here's an example. You take 2020 January to March, and you look at revenue and look at cost of goods sold. I mean, you would have to have these numbers. If you don't have numbers, then you can't do this argument. But you have to look at the numbers, and you do the numbers as like, oh, well, just in 3 months, I made a net of that of $85,000 divided by 2. That's $25,000 in just 3 months. Well, 3 months out of a 12-month year, let's take 3 months times four, that's 12. I certainly was on path to have a very, very successful year. I think that warrants a higher loan amount. That's one way to pitch it. Another way to pitch it is that the cost of goods sold is going down in 2020, so your profit margin is higher. Or the opposite, that your revenues are going up a lot more in early 2020, and hence you are set up to do a better profit level. SBA does loan, it admits that it does loan people money based upon prospective revenue, but there has to be some ground in some numbers and some documents. So if you have those documents, that is great. Next, there are some loan officers who literally just loan out money with no explanation. So I've had viewers who said that they got someone on the phone and it wasn't even their loan officers, and they said, I want a loan increase. They're like, how much? And they're like, I want 85,000. Okay, done. It was literally, that was the conversation. Now, I can't say that happens all the time, but it has happened a few times. That's what you should consider. Ultimately, if you have questions in today's video, drop them in the comments below. The private is in the description below. Always support your mentors if they help you get a loan, and support this channel if possible. Have a great evening, and see you tomorrow morning with Mornings LALATE debuting again at about 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please join us then. Have a great evening.